Okay, welcome to Atlanta News First Sports Tonight. We've got a very special guest with us tonight. Emily is here. Emily Gagnon, thank you so much for stopping by and joining us. We've got lots of topics to cover tonight, Emily.
Yes.
And let's start with LeBron going for the record tonight. Could make history. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so LeBron tonight at home, right? So the Lakers are at home against the Thunder. 36 points away from the scoring record, the all-time scoring record. Fred, did you know only two players, right? Only two are in the 38,000 club. I mean, that's truly incredible to think about. And what I like about LeBron is that he, in my opinion, has done things the right way since he has joined the league. And he joined the league at a very, very young age.
He did, yeah, he was a kid.
Do you remember him on magazines when he played high school ball?
Right, yeah.
I mean, he had success at a very young age, was very, very good. The next coming of Michael Jordan, and some people might say that he is even better than Michael Jordan. We're not going to get in that discussion tonight because, you know, between you and I, I'm sure we could talk about that for an hour.
Sure.
But he has handled himself like a professional since day one, and he has never been in any scandals that I know of throughout his career.
No.
And you gotta love to see that because he is truly the biggest NBA superstar of this time. And in this day and age, to never have had an issue is truly remarkable. So to eventually own that record, and he certainly deserves it, will be a huge moment, whether it happens tonight or on Thursday against the Bucks. If you ask me, I think it's gonna happen Thursday, but he might just go off tonight, okay?
You never know.
Go off.
The thing with, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, when you think about it, LeBron tonight could drop 50 and just get it over with.
He could drop 50 any night. The thing about LeBron that impresses me is his size. That dude is huge, man. I mean, and he's so athletic for a guy that's 6'9", what, 270 maybe, 280? I mean, he can just run the floor. He can move. He can adjust. He just does it all, man. And I think that's what is so impressive to me about LeBron. Look, Michael Jordan, certainly impressive. The championships, all that. You know, Michael Jordan, what, 6'6"? I mean, LeBron's 6'9", running the floor, doing things that are just impressive to me. And I just think that, you know, he's going to break the record. And Kareem had it for so long. And Kareem had the patented skyhook. He started his career in Milwaukee. He was drafted by the Bucks, won a championship for Milwaukee, and then, you know, moved on like a lot of guys do at the end of their careers. They go out to L.A. and like to see the bright lights and big city and have a good time. So it's going to be interesting to see if LeBron breaks it tonight. He could certainly go off tonight. There's no doubt. No doubt about it.
He's not many points away from it, so why not? You know, Fred, it's funny because there are only two athletes in my career, and I'm not saying my career has been anywhere nearly as long as yours. So obviously you
well,
might
no, you're too young to have it as long as mine.
You might be able to give me some insight here. But only two athletes have truly taken my breath away when they've walked in a room where I've been. And the two are Michael Jordan. I mean, honestly, I still remember it was at a Magic game, and I was on the court, and he walked by me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was Michael Jordan. It was insane. Like, I just can't believe it. So to be in a conversation, like for LeBron James to be in a constant conversation about whether him or MJ are the best to have ever played in the NBA, it's remarkable. And he truly, you know, when he decides to retire, I don't know when that will be, he says he wants to stay playing until he can play with his son, which obviously it might be doable. I mean, because his sons both play basketball right now. Any team will welcome him as long as he wants to play. And it is awesome. I mean, I can't say it enough.
And LeBron James wears 23 because he's a Michael Jordan fan. I mean, that's why he picked 23, because he loves Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, I think the first time I saw him a lot, of course, in college and everything. But, you know, really what impressed me about Jordan and that whole dream team is when they were here for the Olympics. And, you know, they knew when to go to work. Bobby Cremins of Georgia Tech was one of the assistant coaches on that team. Lenny Wilkins was the head coach. And it was just kind of interesting the way those guys went about their business. So, I mean, when Michael Jordan and those guys showed up, I mean, it was all business. And when it was time to play, they went and did it, and they mowed through it. But that's, you know, seeing those guys up close like that for so long. You know, you got to remember the Bulls and the Hawks were meeting in the playoffs in the 90s as well. So you saw Michael Jordan just torch the Hawks for as many points as he wanted to score. So, that was huge. So LeBron could make history tonight. We will see, as Emily and I said, I mean, the dude he's the dude. There's no doubt.
Fred, you didn't ask me who the second athlete who took my breath away was.
Who was the second athlete who took your breath away?
A-Rod.
A-Rod, really?
Yes.
Alex Rodriguez.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not even like a huge A-Rod fan, but I remember when the Yankees played the Rays back in college, and I was an intern for Fox Sports at the time. I remember he just walked through the hallway, and he commanded such like respect. He just had this air about him, and I was like, okay, all right. So Michael Jordan and A-Rod, the two athletes who have taken my breath away.
Wow.
I mean, and they're both like two of the best at their sport.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. Oh no. A-Rod. Yeah. He's big time. There's no doubt about it. Both with the Rangers and then of course with the Yankees.
All right, let's move it along.
Georgians in the Super Bowl. I'm going to let you start this one. You're going to lead this conversation. You know what? Lenny Wilkins told me a long time ago, Fred, point guards play a lot longer than scorers. So I'm just going to be a point guard. I'm just going to dish to you tonight. Georgians in the Super Bowl. You cover the Georgia Bulldogs like nobody else. So let's go.
4 dogs in the Super Bowl this year. I don't know how much playing time we'll actually see from any of them. Now, if McCole Hardman was available on Sunday, against the Eagles, he certainly would play a role in that game, but he is injured. He's been dealing with a pelvis injury. We haven't seen him since week 13 of the season, so we won't see him again until next season, unfortunately. But this is, for him, his 3rd Super Bowl, even though he isn't playing in 4 years. Can you imagine that? I mean, literally, 3 out of 4 years you go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This has become a usual thing for him. He's won one, he's lost one. We'll see what happens Sunday. I feel for him because nobody wants to be on the sideline for the biggest game of the season, but he's got to get healthy to be able to play. So we'll hopefully see him next season and everything will be fine. But then you've got Malik Herring, who also plays for the Chiefs, the defensive end. And then when you go over to the Eagles side, I mean, this is very simple. 2 rookies who stole the hearts of everyone in this state, if you're a Georgia fan, in Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. Both of them haven't really played much this season. We know what they can do on a defense. We know how much they can affect a defense because we certainly saw them do it at Georgia. They won the national championship in 2022. I mean, think about this, Fred. If you were a college guy and you won a national championship and then you go ahead and you play in the NFL, your first season you go to the Super Bowl, how incredible is that? You have a chance
never lose.
to go back to back.
You never lose, right? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How about some other guys, though, that are from the high schools around here? Harrison Butker from Westminster and Tech. He's the kicker for the Chiefs. Jody Fortson from Valdosta State. Played at Valdosta State, but he's from the Buffalo area. Jerick McKinnon of the Chiefs. That guy has had a really good career, Sprayberry High School and Georgia Southern. That guy has hung around and really had a nice career. You talked about Jordan Davis and Nakobe. Trey Sermon, also from Sprayberry. He played at Ohio State via Oklahoma. And big Orlando Brown from Peachtree Ridge High School, the big offensive tackle, 6'8", 340 pounds. So, a lot of Georgians in the Super Bowl this time around. Pretty cool to watch, isn't it, when you see guys that you know?
Well, Orlando Brown, right? He might have like one of the toughest jobs on the field, left tackle,
right,
having to protect Patrick Mahomes, the prized possession. So for him, he's actually, I think, was franchise tagged, I want to say, this season. He's looking for a big contract, and I certainly hope he gets it because, Fred, the offensive line is very, very important.
Hey, they control the game, right? Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yes.
She wants me to say what I always say. If you have the offensive line, you're going to control the game.
So,
and you do.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Well, Orlando Brown, we'll see how he does. But him and Patrick Mahomes have to be pretty tight because of just
right, because it's his bodyguard.
That's right. That's right. I like that. That is his bodyguard
right there. Yeah, man.
And then McKinnon, it's funny with him, 9 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a heck of a career for a running back. And he actually played in Super Bowl. Well, he didn't play. I apologize. He went to Super Bowl 54, couldn't play because he was on injured reserve.
Right,
that's when the 49ers lost to the Chiefs.
Right.
So he likes the fact that now, a couple years later, he gets to go back and actually play a role. So 800 scrimmage yards for him in 2022. And for him, after 9 years, Fred, that's crazy.
I mean, what he's done, he's always battled. He's always been a battler. The guy, out of Georgia Southern, out of he wasn't really a big-time recruit, obviously, because he ended up at Georgia Southern. No offense to that, because when he was there, it was an outstanding program. It still is, but I mean, it was really flying high then. So he was, out of Sprayberry High School, and he does everything. He's like a third down back. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. So I mean, he can really do it all. So
and Harrison Butker, right? You mentioned him.
Harrison
but
Butker from
the
Westminster.
Georgia Tech alum, yes, and
Yeah.
also went to high school. He was born in Decatur. Okay,
Right,
so
yeah.
he's like an Atlanta guy through and
Sure,
through.
yeah.
And I think, he's fourth in NFL history in field goal percentage. He's won one, lost one. I'm talking about Super Bowls, just like McCole, his third appearance in a Super
Right.
Bowl. They both play for the Chiefs. That's understandable. In 2019, though, I want to say that season when they played in the 2020 Super Bowl, he might have had the most points in the NFL. I'll have to look that up. But that guy has made a huge difference for the Chiefs. Not to mention, he won the game for them. He is the reason they went. I mean, listen, other
Sure.
things could have happened.
Other things
but
could happen, sure, but he kicked it.
Yes, the 3 points sent the Chiefs to the Super Bowl, this Super Bowl. So we can't say enough about that guy either.
Okay, let's move to the next topic now. Georgia Tech basketball struggling right now. They could lose their 10th in a row. I mean, you kind of feel for Josh Pastner. I mean, he's a likable guy. He loves his players.
And
Nobody wants to win more than him, and you just don't want to see anybody struggle like that.
they're 8-15 this season, Fred.
Right.
They've won one conference game.
Yep.
They're 15th in the ACC.
Not good.
Josh Pastner is a great guy.
He
I
is.
mean,
He's a good coach too.
Yes.
He is a good coach. I mean, he got them to the tournament. I mean, he's had them in the tournament, and he is a good coach. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! I mean, they won the ACC tournament. I think that was 2020.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, and they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament in Indiana when all the teams went out there and they
Right.
tried to create like a college bubble of sorts.
Right.
But since he's been there, I know that he certainly hasn't done everything he's wanted to do as far as winning when you take a look at the wins. But he will be quick to remind you that, Georgia Tech plays in the ACC, what might be the toughest conference in all of college basketball. But at some point, this, Fred, you got to find a way to win.
You do.
Because the wins determines how long you stay at a certain program. You hate this for him. You said he was a great coach. He's also a great person.
He is.
And I do think kids like him. I think his
Oh, yeah.
players really, really like him.
I mean, look how he won in Memphis. I mean, in Memphis he won, and it's tough.
After Calipari.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's tough to get into school at Georgia Tech, and that I'm going to say that. I mean, certainly that's their line, and that's what they always say. But it is true to a certain extent. So although Purdue is an engineering school and they were number one, but wait a minute, they were number one.
They were.
They got beat.
Fred's saying this because he went to Indiana, if anybody
That's right, Indiana.
watching doesn't know that.
Hoosiers with a big win, knocking off number one, baby.
Read between the lines on that one, guys.
You always tell on me. Why do you always tell on me?
I mean, it is what it is, right? We all like our schools, don't we?
Yeah.
But Fred just, so happens to like to see Purdue suffer a little bit more than your average.
And this next one is really wild, okay? Kyle Busch. His nickname is Rowdy. The guy gets arrested in Mexico for having a loaded gun in his bag. Now, he's flying private, okay? He's flying private. He's not flying commercial. He's flying a private airline, and, he's got a jet waiting for him and everything. But you still got to take your bag through security. He's got a loaded weapon in his bag. Now, he got out, and he's back, but he still faces charges. I mean, he could face, years of... he probably will never face years of prison time, but he could. If it was, say, you or me, we'd still be down there in a prison. If we had of course, we wouldn't have a loaded gun in our handbag either.
Am I allowed to say no comment?
You can say whatever you like.
And listen, no comment is like the strongest comment you can make, okay? The Canadian in me says why.
Yes.
Why? I mean...
No gun needed, right? Why do we need guns? Let alone a loaded gun. You're going on vacation with your wife and kids. You got to be packing heat? What?
Or here's the deal. If you're going to vacation somewhere where you need a gun, why are you going? Like, don't go somewhere where you need to have a gun
Right.
on you if you're going to relax. And again, you pointed it out with his family.
Right.
I wasn't aware. I didn't know who he was with.
Right.
But
He was on vacation.
some people might argue with us and say, well, you want to protect your family and that's why you have a gun on you. But maybe next time just go somewhere where that isn't needed.
Yeah, that is the Canadian in you. Go somewhere where a handgun isn't needed. Hey, honey, guess what? We're going to the big hotel down in Mexico. It's hard liquor and handgun night. We're going to have a blast. No, that's not going to happen. Come on, give me a break.
Fred, he could have gone to Canada.
He could have gone to Canada.
No
and
guns
he wouldn't
needed.
need anything. No,
We would have welcomed you with open arms.
Of course,
with no
yeah, I
guns
mean,
needed. Okay, you would have felt protected everywhere you went.
Yes.
I mean,
So Kyle Busch,
come on.
he's running good. I mean, the car's been running good. His nickname's Rowdy, so I guess we know why.
Wait, so wait, to be clear though, like this was the topic Fred chose, so we're clear. He is back in the U.S. now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then he truly.
He dodged the.
Since he's
time
back
thing,
on
yeah.
U.S. soil, right? Nothing can really happen now?
Yeah, well, nothing. I mean, you don't think so? I don't think they'll extradite him. I doubt it.
I don't think he's going to go back to Mexico.
Oh, no. I don't think he's going to do that. No.
Right? Like, that's off the
I'm
list
not
now,
sure.
right? I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
That is off the list now, because if you go back,
right.
you might. Is that
Hey, honey,
that's playing with fire?
We're going to go to Puerto Vallarta next year. No, I don't think that's going to happen.
I like Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, isn't it?
On my 30th birthday, that's where I went.
Did you really?
Mountains and ocean. No gun though. Don't worry. I didn't bring a gun with me. I didn't
She's from
need one.
Canada. She doesn't own a gun.
No. I mean, again, like, mind blown. Absolutely.
Crazy. All right, well, what else is on your mind tonight, Emily?
What's a great question, Fred? Probably a loaded one. Listen,
well, don't talk about loaded, okay? Because hey,
yeah.
please, come on, don't do that. Nothing loaded here.
No.
We don't have
Not with the Canadian.
Nothing's
here.
loaded.
Okay, so I know we talked about Georgians or people with ties to Georgia playing in the Super Bowl, but let's just talk about the SEC as a whole.
Oh,
okay,
my goodness.
If you look on both of those rosters, the Chiefs and the Eagles, I cannot get enough of how many guys who are played in the SEC. And like you take a look at the defense, it's insane. Not to mention the fact, I mean, listen, I'll give an extra big shout out to Fletcher Cox. I
wanted to talk about that because, I mean, he is unbelievable. That dude.
He's been playing
he's a beast,
forever, and he is an Eagles guy through and through.
Yeah.
Andy Reid drafted the guy in the first round out of Mississippi State. He left early, and he's from Yazoo City in Mississippi. Do you know where that is, Fred?
You know what? I think it's down south Mississippi, isn't it? Close to the Gulf Coast.
I mean, listen, he's the biggest thing to come out of that city and will be for a very long time. And that's nothing to say about the people there, but he is such a big deal. I mean, listen, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Just mark it down. That's what he's going to be. You said okay like you disagree.
No, I don't disagree. No. See,
I was like, whoa.
now, hold on. I thought you were from Canada. Don't pick a fight.
Whoa. But yeah, so you've got Fletcher Cox, and he really sets the tone for everybody on defense. He's the veteran in the room, and people really, truly respect him. What's unique about that, though, is you've got Darius Slay, right? The DB, who also went to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And Fred, wouldn't you know it, but Chris Jones for the Chiefs. Those are three big dudes, three guys who play on defense that went to Mississippi State that are playing in the game's biggest game.
Right.
Out of Mississippi State. I mean, I cannot give enough love to MSU tonight just because, this is great talent. Great talent.
All coming out of Stark Vegas. I mean, it's been a good program they've been a good program, I think, for a little bit of time now, haven't they? I mean, I think so.
I mean, it's just like you play in the SEC West, right?
Right.
It's tough. It's very tough. And Mississippi probably cannot recruit like an Alabama can. And again, it's nothing like these aren't digs here. I'm just speaking reality. It's harder to recruit at Mississippi State than it is at Alabama. That's just what it is.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Sure. I mean, Alabama, you're going to show them, wow, look at all of our national championship trophies. You come here, you're going to have a chance to win a national championship right away. Mississippi State, hey, they call us Stark Vegas. I mean, what are you going to,
Yeah. And Jeff Collins was a defensive coordinator there.
At Mississippi State?
Yeah. Yes.
And he did a good job there, too.
And then, he eventually came here and became the head coach at Georgia Tech.
Right.
And then
did a good job at Temple before he came here.
Right. Things didn't work out here. But listen, as a defensive coordinator, Fletcher Cox will tell you,
he's a good coach.
Yes, absolutely.
He's a good coach.
So, so that's just Mississippi State. Then you go over to Alabama, and of course, the starting quarterback for the Eagles went to Bama, and yes, he did transfer. We all know that.
He finished at Oklahoma, but you know what? I mean,
he learned so much of his years of
he
developing.
graduated. He was a graduate transfer. So you know what? best of luck. You graduate, you transfer, you got to pat him on the back and root for the guy forever, I think.
Devontae
You know,
Smith.
Devontae Smith, another great player
The
from
guy he
Alabama.
throws to.
Right,
Yeah.
the guy he throws to. Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got chemistry going before anything. And you know what? Jalen Hurts has done a great job in Philadelphia. And obviously, I mean, his father's a coach, so, you know, he knows offense, obviously. He knows how to, you know, be a teammate, I think. Just my opinion.
I always think or not always, but like the SEC is the winner when it comes to football.
Well, yeah, you think? Yeah, of course.
And, you know, I know we talked about the dogs, the 4 dogs who are playing, or I don't know if they'll actually play, but could see the field.
Right?
This is the 22nd straight year where you'll see a dog in a Super Bowl. 22nd in a row. There's only one other school that has that. Do you know who it is, Fred? You know what school that is? That has 22 straight appearances in a Super Bowl.
Are they in the SEC?
They're in the SEC.
Alabama.
LSU.
LSU.
So LSU and Georgia for a 22nd, I can't say it enough, 22nd straight year, you'll see a player in a Super Bowl. That's a heck of a record. And listen, if I'm Kirby Smart, every house I'm going in, I'm like, hey, you want to play in the Super Bowl one day?
Here you go.
Come over here. Come to Georgia.
Exactly. You know, I mean, that's something too. And, you know, you talk about LSU, you talk about Alabama, the SEC West, loaded. It's loaded.
Don't you oftentimes think, and this is me being honest, Georgia's got it so easy in the East?
Well, they do now.
Since
Not
Kirby's
always.
been here.
Well, Kirby, you know, like I've said a million times, Kirby, you know, obviously went to LSU, then went to Alabama with Coach Nick Saban. And the difference for me, you're there every day, but the difference for me is the linemen and the depth. You got big, huge linemen, and you have depth at all those positions. That, to me, you know, when you're rolling out, you know, a bunch of 300-pound guys who can run, you are going to control the game. That's just my opinion. And Kirby has done a great job. You know, I talked to Ray Goff, the former Georgia coach who recruited Kirby, and he said, you know, Kirby's dad's a coach. He's from South Georgia. You know, high school football is big down there. Football in general is big down there. He goes, and he loves his players. You know, that's what Ray told me, that he loves his players. And he does a great job. I mean, there's no doubt. He's been the difference. There's no doubt.
I've heard from college coaches around the country that right now, in their opinion, the state of Georgia has the biggest offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I'm not talking about the University of Georgia. I'm talking about Georgia
high
as
school
a
football.
state. When they come down here, they're looking for offensive and defensive linemen because they are so big. Like what? I was actually
they can
asked
run.
by a college coach, like, what do you guys feed your athletes, your high school athletes down in Georgia? And I'm like, hey, I don't know, I guess they're doing it right. But like Broderick Jones is a perfect example, right? Yes, he's leaving Georgia early. People are not happy about it. But he will more than likely be the first tackle taken in this year's NFL draft.
Well, then you have to salute the young man and wish him the best.
And he's from here,
You know,
right
he's
here.
He's from around here.
He,
I mean, so
he paid his dues, okay? He
Right.
really did. He won 2 championships. It's time to move on.
Exactly. I mean,
And I don't think we've even seen everything there is to see when it comes to him because he hasn't played enough.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's just
Breadman, Jalen Carter too. Okay, like
Jalen Carter. I mean,
we
that
have not
kid.
seen enough from him, and he's going to go in the top 3, maybe even 1 overall.
Oh yeah, he could go 1 overall. There's no doubt. I mean, a defensive lineman like that with those skills,
picking up
play-
quarterbacks,
picking up quarterbacks
with one arm.
Well, he can
putting
play
up the number 1.
He can play over the center. He can play the 3. You know, I mean, he can go inside. I mean, he's an incredible athlete, and he's gonna, no doubt.
And we're
Yeah.
talking about defensive linemen and offensive linemen.
And
Just
here's the
right
thing.
there.
Here's the thing. Next year, Emily, Kirby's going to have more guys he's going to trot out that'll play maybe not just as well, but pretty close.
Oh,
in
there's
my
no
opinion.
drop off on defense.
No,
I mean, that's
that's
his
right.
baby. I mean,
That's what Kirby does. Kirby loves defense. He was a defensive coordinator for Nick Saban, who, of course, if you're going to be a defensive coordinator for Nick Saban, you better come with your game because that dude's a defensive guy.
Well, listen, he played his cards right because he waited until this opportunity
Right.
came about.
He didn't jump.
He could have gone to so many other schools
Oh,
and been a
yeah.
head coach. But with Georgia, like, he waited. That was his alma mater. He knew, and he jumped on it, and it has changed the game. And you can tell how much more it means to him
Yes, it does.
because he went there and he played there. And that is all he wants to do is be successful at his alma mater. And you know, he said it, Fred, really quickly before we leave you at the celebration when Georgia celebrated their national championship win. He said, you guys didn't think we'd go back to back. That's exactly what they did.
You know, and that really is amazing. And I thought, too, Okay, not this year, obviously, but the one where they won it before. The Coach Dooley was there, and Coach Dooley was alive then, and you know, Kirby, of course, obviously loved Coach Dooley, and I thought it was a great moment when those two, you know, Coach Dooley got locked out of his room the night before that championship game, the first one up in Indy. He got locked out of his hotel room, and Kirby ended up talking to him the night before the game, and that really, you know, Kirby said he got a lot of good advice and a lot of, you know, it was really a great moment, I thought, to kind of bring two great Bulldogs together, and they win the national championship.
Hey, and Fred, this is my last comment. Like, that sounds like something that would happen to us. Like, if you get locked out of your hotel room, then you and I would talk all night long about how we're going to win the next day.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Are you kidding me? That's all we talk about with a notepad. Hey, you know what, Emily? Thank you so much for Sports Tonight. ANF Plus Sports Tonight with Emily.
The best part of it is we're going to do it again tomorrow.
Of course we are. That is the best part of it. Thanks for watching.
Have a good night, guys.